So good afternoon and welcome to Essential Ingredients. I'm your host, Justine Reichman, and today with me is Aylon Steinhart, founder and CEO of Eclipse. Welcome, Aylon.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to reconnect with you and bring you on to Essential Ingredients. I'm so pleased to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
So for those of you that are not familiar with Eclipse, it is a plant-based dessert, similar to any other kind of plant-based ice cream, or when I was a kid, we had tofutti, but it's a much better version. And for those that are not familiar with tofutti, you're not missing much. My mom force-fed it to me, but Aylon, you want to describe to people what Eclipse is? Because I'm sure you have a much better explanation about it, and I don't want to do you a disservice.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So yeah, Eclipse, we are a dairy platform, actually a plant-based dairy platform.
That's a much better explanation. Thank you.
I've been doing this a few years now. And we make plant-based dairy products that have the taste, texture, and functionality of conventional dairy. So to your point, Justine, yes, frozen dessert, our ice cream is kind of our first product to market, but Eclipse is really able to create basically any dairy product, whether it be ice cream or cheese or yogurt or butter or milk. And really the reason we were founded and the reason we created this platform in the first place is our mission, which is to create a more sustainable, ethical, and healthy food system by moving the food system away from industrial animal agriculture and towards amazing plant-based products that require no sacrifice.
That's a great mission. Wow.
Thank you.
I love that. So did you build this because you were passionate about the mission, or was it also tied to any other reasons around health and wellness for you?
Yeah, the reason I created Eclipse and the reason that my co-founder also wanted to work together to create Eclipse was exactly that, is the mission. We looked at kind of the food system, and maybe I'll give you our backgrounds to give you kind of a sense of how we got to the vision. But I was at the Good Food Institute before starting Eclipse, which is the leading nonprofit in the alternative protein space. I joined there to start their innovation department. So was working, basically running an incubator for the plant-based, cell-based, and fermentation-based space. So I had a really good sense of kind of what was happening in the alternative protein industry and what gaps were missing, right? My co-founder at the time, Thomas Bowman, was the director of product development at Just, or Hampton Creek. So he created the Just Mayos, the cookies, oversaw the team that created the Just Egg. And then before that, he was actually a chef. So he had chefed or staged a total of 16 Michelin stars around the globe, was twice nominated James Beard Rising Star Chef, named Zagat's 30 Under 30. And so he had this really incredible view of kind of what was possible, what we could actually create, right? And we really looked at the food industry, and what we agreed upon more than anything was that factory farming or industrial animal agriculture was really a lose-lose-lose sort of thing. I mean, it was horrible for the environment, right? With the UN saying that industrial animal agriculture causes more climate change than all of transportation combined. And it's actually gotten even worse. The newest UN report is even more damning of industrial animal agriculture. Then you have the human health aspect, which, excessive consumption of these products causes basically all major health issues like heart disease, obesity, hypertension, diabetes, et cetera, cancer. And then there was the animal suffering part, which was another big lose, because no one wins in that, not the farmers, not the animals, not the people who work in those settings, the slaughterhouses. So it's just industrial animal agriculture, it's lose-lose-lose system. And what we said is, hey, if we can find a fix for that, that really is what our life mission is and what we need to do. And that's how Eclipse was born.
Wow, that's amazing. So your whole mission in life was to do good. When you started at the Good Food Institute, I mean, you were there to innovate, and you went from innovating for them to innovating to create your own thing. So that was pretty amazing. Now, is that co-founder at the time, is he still your co-founder?
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. So you two are the dynamic duo making this and changing the world and working to really change the way agriculture, works in the world, and to create a plant-based solution that I think it's my background, just so that we're on the same page here for those listening and watching. So I apologize. But in any event, so the impact that you're having, it really does. It changes the way the farmers do things. It changes the way that you're able to deliver a product, and you're able to help people and provide a solution that's better for their health and wellness. So it gives people so many more options. And then people like me that can't tolerate dairy now have a solution to go to, regardless of all the other things, just so that they can have another option. And as a bonus, it helps the environment and it helps our health. So if you weren't sold originally, you're definitely sold afterwards.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's kind of one of my favorite fun facts. Maybe I'll ask you. We can make it very interactive. Is what % of the world's population is lactose intolerant?
I think a very large part.
Yeah. Do you want to guess?
Well, I read a little factoid. I don't know where this was, but I think it had to do, no, that's a little too small of a percentage of the population. It had to do with the Ashkenazi Jews and the percentage of Ashkenazi Jews that were lactose intolerant. But that's just one tiny little itty bitty % of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the tiniest little %. So, I mean, we've got a very large world out there with lots of people and lots of different backgrounds. But I have to believe that a lot of people, if you look at Europe, a lot of people there don't drink and eat dairy, right?
Yeah. So oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. So like the culture that we live in, we tend to eat more dairy than the rest of the world.
Yeah, so it's true. So the number is, it's roughly 70%, 70.
That's huge.
Yeah. Like 90% plus of Asian population, 90% plus of the African population, and then just most adults, turns out, are lactose intolerant. And so when we think about creating products for people, that's sort of the lowest hanging fruit. Is dairy products don't even work well for our bodies. And so if we could create a product that tastes just as good and is priced competitively and is available everywhere and just works better for our bodies, it's a no-brainer. And I think that's actually why Credit Suisse went out to say that alternative proteins are going to be $1.4 trillion by 2050.
Wow.
Yeah, growing over 100x where we are today. And for us in the dairy world, like that makes so much sense, because the grand majority of the world is the products that exist today, the default products don't even work for them. So
that's so interesting. And it really is interesting that so many other cultures don't really even eat dairy, and we do here in the US, right? And what you just said with all these other cultures that actually can't tolerate it. I mean, it's interesting that they can't tolerate, we're the only ones eating it. Is it because we're the only ones that don't know that we can't tolerate it? Are the only ones that don't care, aren't paying attention?
I mean, first, let's say what we have to say for dairy, and to dairy's credit, is it's incredibly delicious, right?
I love cheese. I'm not going to say no. I do love cheese, but I don't feel good when I eat it.
So that's the thing. It's like, I think dairy is incredibly delicious. Cheese, yogurt, butter. I mean, who doesn't love butter?
I love butter. I eat things as an accoutrement to butter. There's no tool to eat the butter.
And that's exactly it, right? It's like we eat these things, they're delicious, but they don't really work for us, and they don't work for the planet, and they don't work for animals. And it's kind of that lose, lose, lose. And so what we're doing is we're saying, let's not require any sacrifice. Like, let's create products that truly have the amazing taste, truly have the amazing texture, even have the amazing functionality that dairy has, which is pretty magical, right? And if we can create that and give it to people, then it's an obvious choice of like, let's just go for the plant-based version, because it's better for me and it's better for animals, better for the planet. So why not?
I think it's true. I think there's just a little education that people need, a little information that needs to get to people. I mean, even what you shared with me, I did not know that 70% of the population can't tolerate. I mean, I knew that I read about the statistics that related to me when I heard that I couldn't tolerate it. And they were telling me how staggering they were, but how common it was among what was relevant to me, which, okay, fine. But when you tell me about these other numbers and how, you know, this is huge, and I think about, you know, everything else, I think, you know, if everybody else had this kind of information, if everybody else knew this, you know, they might go looking for other alternatives as well. And then equally, when you talk about the impact it has on the environment, and if you talk about not just the impact, but the tangible impact it has, how does it impact them personally? How does it impact, you know, the future of the planet for their families, for their children, et cetera? And if people could learn more about this and it hit home with them, those things together, I think, make the impact that might create more change.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of things playing together. And, you know, we look at the kind of study after study about what drives people in their food purchasing decisions. And it really is taste is number one, price is number two, availability, right? It has to be on shelf or in the restaurant. And then nutrition. And really after that comes sustainability concerns, animal welfare concerns, things like that. So, you know, our theory of change is, you talked about education. Education is pretty expensive and it's a one-by-one sort of thing. Whereas if we can create a product that really wins on taste and really makes that the default choice, the better choice, right? Because it's better across not just taste, or not just the sustainability and the animal welfare and the climate change, but like also the taste and the price and the availability. And if we can win on those factors that actually drive consumer decision, that's really how we're thinking about it. And luckily we've developed a technology that can help us achieve that.
So in my mind, though, you're the dream, because you're the company that makes the informed choices, to build a better for you business. But you know enough to create the best taste so that your consumer will choose you.
That is,
you know what I'm saying? No, because the thing is that you have a lot of businesses that don't make the informed choices to build the better for you company, right? And so my goal to create this platform to share these stories with founders like yourself is to share the story of why you did this, the impact you want to have, so that the next person building their business is going to say, hey, Aylon built his business. Why? So that he could change and make a difference, give people an opportunity to have a product that's going to be better for the environment and better for themselves. So when they're building their business, maybe that will inspire them. But equally, we know that taste is what's going to make the buyer choose you. And you're saying that. You're not mincing words. You're not saying, listen, I'm going to try to educate my people and hope that my bad tasting ice cream they're going to buy it because I'm changing the planet. You're saying, listen, it's got to taste good, but I have a mission. So, you know, here we're trying to give people a platform to share their information so that if you're a business, you can make a more informed choice or be inspired. And if you're an end consumer, you know, you can make a more informed choice, but equally have the information. So I appreciate the perspective you're sharing.
Yeah, I really appreciate the kind words. I mean, it means a lot. And the truth is, in my mind, when you think about doing good, I think it's extremely important to really look at the numbers and really, as funny as it's going to sound about, you know, doing good is always associated with the kind of warm and fuzzy feeling. And I think it's less about that. It's a lot more about, let's look at like what can actually have the biggest impact. And so the reason Thomas and I are working on changing the food system is, I mean, obviously we both love food and we're both total food people. And it happens to be that moving the system away from industrial animal agriculture is one of the most impactful things, if not the most impactful thing that we could be working on. Because if you look at the most common on how to reduce climate change, coming out of Oxford, that study reported that the number one thing that an individual can do to reduce their impact on climate change is to switch to a plant-based diet. And in fact, the number is you would reduce your emissions by 73% from food if you just switch to a plant-based diet. And then forget that part, but don't, because that's extremely important. But then on top of that, you also have the impact that industrial animal agriculture has on macro human health, things like these global pandemics. Actually, a report came out saying that the risk of global pandemics, for a global pandemic to happen again, industrial animal agriculture is related to 3 out of the top 10 risks, because we keep animals in such quarters that they develop diseases like swine flu, like avian flu, like mad cow disease, right? It's just ripe for antibiotic resistance, for superbugs, and for really, really bad things that we don't want happening. And so it's the climate change, it's that, it's also your own health, it's also the health of animals. Like there's just so many boxes that this one solution checks, that's why Thomas and I decided, based on the data, that, hey, this is a really, really important thing to work on. And so in terms of like thinking about, you know, how do we inspire businesses to do good? I think we got to inspire businesses to do good with the actual impact in mind of what we could achieve.
Essential Ingredients is powered by NextGen Chef. NextGen Chef is a movement that supports food and beverage entrepreneurs around the world by fostering a sense of community and providing its members access to mentors and a wealth of resources and guidance. NextGen Chef feeds members with the knowledge they need to build better for you food and beverage businesses, so the world can have greater access to healthier food, comprehensive food education, and increased affordability. If you like what you hear on this podcast, continue the conversation or ask new questions on the NextGen Chef app, available in the Apple Store and Google Play. Follow NextGen Chef on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at NextGen Chef. Join NextGen Chef and let's change the future of the food industry together.
So when you first started this, and you were at you started this while you were at the Good Food Institute or after you left?
After I left.
After you left. So when you started this, what was the first product you started with? Because I just remember jars. I remember little clear jars. I remember little clear jars.
Yeah, that's a total throwback. So we basically had this moment. Thomas was making like the 1000th iteration of a cream cheese, and he was like burning the midnight oil, and had changed one processing parameter and one ingredient into the mixer that he was experimenting with. And all of a sudden we got this sound that instead of the mixer humming along, it started making this weird kind of like up and down sort of sound. And Thomas looked in, and what he saw was, instead of just like a smooth cream cheese, there was actually kind of water at the bottom of the mixer, and there was like these clumps on the side. So it was like, and he kind of yelled, he's like, this is like curds and whey. Like, what happened here? And so he did it again, and it happened again. And he said, oh my God, like the product is functioning like dairy. And that was the whole point of the company, right? Is to create this base that would function like dairy. And from there, we essentially kind of had this moment of like, whoa, we can make anything. And Thomas is a total creative genius. And so he started creating everything, and he made sour cream and cream cheese and a bunch of different types of hard cheeses and ice cream and milk and yogurt, and like made everything. And so what you're talking about, the little jars, was our sour cream, which was the first product that we ever sampled out to the public. But as you know, history shows, we didn't actually end up choosing that as the first product we commercialized, and now we have. I
remember soft serve at our Christmas party. We had the soft serve.
Yeah. Now we sell soft serve. We sell big tubs of ice cream. We sell pints of ice cream. And we're going to be selling a lot of different types of dairy products down the line.
Anything that we're going to see soon? Anything new and exciting?
Well, I would say probably most of the listeners haven't even tried the cookie butter pint or the dark side of the spoon pint. Those are two amazing flavors, the mango passion fruit.
Ooh,
So I would say,
passion fruit.
yeah, those are really good, and they're out in market now. So that's where I would steer people.
If our listeners wanted to go buy Eclipse, where would they find it?
We're in Whole Foods in NorCal. We're in Albertsons and Vons and Pavilions in SoCal. We're in GoPuff in various different cities, Gorillas in New York City. And actually, by the time this is released, I believe, we will have launched with a national burger chain as their first ever dairy-free shake. And really like the first ever nationwide dairy-free
Like
shake.
Shake Shack or something?
Not Shake Shack. But I'll say, given that I'm not sure exactly when this episode is going to drop, and I can't release the news before the drop,
We could release it after if you give us a date.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Okay.
If you give us a date, we'll plan it accordingly.
Perfect.
I promise. So tell us where.
It's Smash Burger.
Smash Burger. Where would I find a Smash Burger?
I think they're in every state in the U.S. They're nationwide.
I gotta get out more, apparently.
And what's really amazing about Smash Burger is they're a top 10 in terms of consumer awareness for milkshakes.
And so gotta get out more.
Well, I don't know how much you're in the demographic. It's
okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. But yeah, they have really good consumer awareness for their milkshakes, and for them to be introducing a plant-based milkshake, they're obsessed with taste and quality. And so the fact that we're going in there and we're going to be the first ever dairy-free shake, and we're going to be featured in their summer of shakes,
That's awesome.
It's phenomenal. So that's one place where I would say you can definitely get it.
Okay, well, you'll have to let us know the right date so we can make sure to.
I appreciate it.
Not to do this prematurely. I'm just thinking, as we're chatting, I'm like thinking I could see this at like, when you go to the pool and you have like a little kiosk with your food and your ice cream.
Definitely.
Right? Or if there was a healthy good humor truck and they're ringing their bells and they're coming through, you could have your little Eclipse truck.
Yeah.
Now I'm just brainstorming with you of all the fun ideas that you could do.
I would say tell whatever operator that you think should carry Eclipse, tell them to check out eclipsefoods.com. And we're in the LA Dodgers stadium.
Awesome.
We're
a big deal.
Yeah, things are moving really fast. It's super exciting. We're actually in Mel's Diner as well.
Okay, San Francisco, for those folks not familiar with Mel's Diner, that's a big diner in San Francisco.
And they have, right now, I think depends kind of, by the time this launches, maybe we'll be in the NorCal locations, but right now it's going to be the main locations in SoCal. And then we launched in Silver Diner on the East Coast.
Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah. So anyways, it's great. And so we're getting the product in a lot of different places, which is fun.
So I remember when I was first met you a couple of years ago, it was pre-pandemic. I was trying those little things in the glass containers. And now here we are talking, you're in Whole Foods, you're at the Dodger stadiums. What was it that got you from, in those little things, doing the little samplings to now being in Whole Foods and Dodger Stadium? Was there some pivotal moment? Was it just a lot of hard work? I mean, I guess a lot of hard work obviously went into it, but was there something that sort of took you over the line? Was there a moment or an event?
I would say that the real pivotal moment was the technological breakthrough. It's when our products started functioning like dairy, because what that's allowed us to do is it means that we can iterate and create new products really quickly. It means that we can scale products really quickly because we are able to run on dairy lines. And so I can go to basically any co-manufacturer that produces a dairy product equivalent to what we're making, whether it's ice cream or cheese or yogurt or whatever have you. And we can basically run on their lines. And so we don't need to spend a bunch of money and a bunch of time getting set up. like we just do a few trials, make sure it all runs well, and then we're off to the races. And so we've been able to scale really quickly. And in terms of the commercial scale, I mean, you know, I tie it back to that first breakthrough, because in the end, the reason Whole Foods brought us in is because they understood, like, this is not a product for vegans or vegetarians. It's really a product that is that bridge, sort of like the Beyond Burger, the Impossible Burger. It's the bridge to the flexitarian consumer, and that's thanks to the taste, right? And so I would say, like, I mean, we've hired amazing people. We have an incredible team. We're constantly hiring, and obviously it's been a lot of hard work. But I think without that first innovation, you know, that's the core of the company, the product.
So out of curiosity, a lot of these things, a lot of the products that are plant-based, I'm always curious what's in them and about the transparency of the ingredients. Sometimes you'll find a lot of filler, sometimes you'll find 5 ingredients, right? Sorry about that. We'll have to just wait a second. We have a little construction going on. We'll have to, sorry.
No worries.
There's a lot of construction. I'll have to edit this part out, Wayne. Please edit that noise out. She'll edit it out. Just 2 seconds, he'll move right along.
No, yeah, I'll hang out.
Sorry.
No
Okay. 2 seconds. He's almost, I think he's just putting the garbage away because it's that time of day when they leave. Okay, so we're talking about ingredients. So, you know, when you look at the Impossible Burger and you look at some of these other burgers, and you'll see a lot of filler sometimes, and sometimes it's great, it's transparent, there's only 5 ingredients. Talk to me a little bit about the ingredients in the Eclipse product.
Yeah, absolutely. So ingredients and quality matter a lot to us, and personally to me. And what we've done is we've created a product that, from an ingredient perspective and a nutritional perspective, has some real advantages. So our products don't contain any gums, gels, or stabilizers, which is really common in ice cream, even more common in plant-based ice cream. We really have a lot of ingredients that we say, we're never going to put this into our product because we just don't want to. We're non-GMO. And we're made from a blend of plants that really anyone would recognize: cassava, potato, corn. Like, these are common, super sustainable crops. And really the whole idea is to replicate that dairy experience and also that dairy nutrition, right? So we have calcium in there, and some people might read the calcium and be like, what is calcium gluconate, right? But it's like, well, that's a calcium that's naturally occurring in dairy. It's just not listed because it's not something that is added into dairy because it's in dairy, but we add it into our product because calcium is important both for nutrition and for how the product functions. And then on top of that, right, we look at our nutrition side by side with dairy, and what's kind of amazing is because we're building this product from the ground up, we don't have to be confined by the kind of constraints of dairy. So we're actually virtually no cholesterol in our product, virtually no saturated fat in our product, but similar amounts of protein and a bit lower sugar and a bit lower calories. So it's not meant to be the healthiest product out there, but it's supposed to be a product that you really don't have to think. You really can say, like, yeah, I'm getting what I would expect from dairy, but it's actually a little bit better. So yeah.
Better for you and better for the planet.
That's right.
So, well, that sounds amazing, Aylon. I love what you're doing. I love your mission behind it. You're changing the future of food. You're changing the future of dairy, and making it more accessible and better for the planet.
Thank you. We're trying.
That's exciting. Yeah. So I really want to thank you for joining us today. And we want to keep abreast of what you have going on, what's new and what's next for you. So keep us up to date, and keep us posted on all the new things coming down the pipeline.
I will. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. Well,
To find out more about this episode of Essential Ingredients and access show notes, check out Next Gen Chef and choose podcast in the menu bar. If you like this episode, head to iTunes or Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel to subscribe. Learn more about Next Gen Chef, the platform that powers this podcast, by checking out our website, or visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Next Gen Chef. You can also check out my Instagram at Justine_Reichman. If you have thoughts about this episode or future episode ideas, leave us a comment at Next Gen Chef's YouTube channel or drop an email at team@nextgenchef.com. Thanks for joining us.